This week's episode, we're talking maximizing the data opportunity. How to leverage your client's database for campaign targeting, data privacy, and how data can get you in and out of trouble, and where the Conduit Digital team sees data going in 2025. Enjoy.
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Did you know that data has surpassed oil as the world's most valuable resource? In today's discussion, we're talking about how to maximize data. How do we maximize data? How do agencies maximize data in this day and age?
I'm going. Okay. I think in order for an agency to maximize data, their actual clients need to maximize their own data first. Every client's got a database of email addresses, phone numbers, names, all this information that a lot of clients probably don't know that can then be taken and put into marketing campaigns, and whether it be on Google, Bing, Facebook, any of these platforms can then use that to basically drive a more targeted message to potential customers.
How are you seeing clients utilize this first-party data to do that?
Remarketing is a great one. So building, I know using Facebook, building like customer lookalike audiences. So, taking that list of 1,000, 2,000 people that have already been a customer and then building a lookalike audience to reach people that, match that. It's pretty powerful stuff. And again, a lot of clients don't really know. Of the clients that we deal with, I think probably less than 10% of clients actually use that capability, which is quite sad actually. But there's, I'd say that is one good way of using it.
Another kind of on the flip side is for email marketing, at least we can use the client's CRM data or whatever they have to then go and suppress who we're targeting. So not specifically target the customer's database, but to block them from our targeting. So a good example from that would be someone that they obviously don't want to serve an ad to. So. Yep. It could be an HVAC company that doesn't want to serve ads to people who just bought a water heater a few months ago, because no one in the world has ever bought water heaters at that kind of frequency. And if they did, that's probably some kind of sketchy Breaking Bad thing that I don't know about yet. But by doing that, you can maximize the relevant audience that you're actually targeting to try and gain new customers, instead of wasting it on people that have already purchased that aren't going to make a repeat purchase.
I think, not to sidetrack, but I know everyone talks now about data, about companies like Facebook, Google having access to your own data. They're talking about
I know you're going. I got something to say before we get into that. Just before we miss that opportunity. Yep. So you're talking about taking a database and using it for marketing purposes. Mm-hmm. When you're looking at it from an attribution standpoint, it also is valuable and presents an opportunity that we talked about in our land and expand conversation, which is providing ROI on the full scale of the account. So taking their first-party data of sales and their CRM data, as you just talked about, and leveraging that and tying it back directly to their marketing data on the front end, the combination of the two is really how you maximize the full potential of data that, just from a marketing campaign, not talking about anything other than that, but just the front-end data is super, super important. And that's just the impressions and delivery of that. But really, the leads that come out of that. What's the sales process on the back end? What's that data look like that we can marry to the front end? And we could do that by accessing their database and leveraging for marketing, but also attribution aspect.
I think one of the things about marketing, which 20 years ago, it was like the dream to tie that initial ad experience, that initial impression of wherever, to the actual sale. Like the benefit now with the data and the technology that's available is you can tie that in. Again, it's using that first-party data, and I do think still businesses don't realize that they have that opportunity to really see the full path from someone first interacting with your brand right the way down to the actual purchase of a product or service.
And much more than an estimated way. So we've been taking a look at ways to increase attribution to traditional, that you guys are taking sips at the same time. And in more than just an estimated fashion. So we've been taking a look at trying to find ways to increase attribution on traditional, as we are actively looking to find ways to tie all digital together. Mm-hmm. And we've seen advances kind of in the capabilities to do so, but it's still very probabilistic, deterministic, and estimated. You can't tie that one radio ad or that one TV commercial to that sale. This is where I think digital has a little bit of the advantage, because you can pixel-specific creative, where you can see the specific Google search that led to an exact sale. And that's just the baseline of that kind of last click attribution to, I know that this click led to this sale, but where I think the data opportunity is for marketers, and as we've talked about offering a full solution, as we've talked about kind of working holistically, our opportunities to show that entire conversion path. So we've talked about working with products that are okay being John Stockton. I think that's so important to know that how your top of the funnel played into your paid search ad, taking that last click and bringing it home.
I always like to say, and I've said it for a couple of years now, data can get you in trouble and out of trouble. Would love to hear your thoughts on just the privacy issues and the privacy policies that are out there. You have the Cambridge Analytica mess, all of those different things. Would love to hear everyone's insight on just what their thoughts are on data privacy and just getting you in trouble and as well as getting you out of trouble.
I mean, me personally, from the marketer in me tells me that I love data because it allows me to drive better. It allows me to drive better performance with my campaigns. And also from outside of marketing, I actually don't mind people.
I agree with you.
I don't want everyone knowing 100% of my data, but I feel like to provide a better user experience. So you talk about the cookie, knowing what websites I've been to, knowing what I've added to my cart, and then seeing that on Facebook or wherever I go. That just provides me with a better user experience, so that I can be reminded to purchase that item. I know that obviously Apple, with their iOS updates, have pretty much eliminated the cookie. Google are going that way with Chrome. I get it. I find it quite sad.
Surprisingly, I actually kind of agree with you here, Mike. So one podcast I was listening to that made a really good point made the point that it's not really privacy that people care about, it's being surprised that people care about. No one cares. Everyone knows that all your data is being tracked in some capacity. It's just when that's being used in a way that isn't expected is that when people actually care about it.
I think that as marketers, though, we might utilize data in a few ways that could surprise people. I mean, they're agreeing to the way that we're utilizing the cookies, but when we explain geofencing at a base level to a lot of our clients, it's like a head exploding moment. And they're like, "Oh my God, that's so cool to be able to use that," and they're like, "Oh, that explains why I've been getting some of these ads." People that think that they're being listened to and stuff like that. It's just, in a lot of cases, it's just good targeting that's happening there. I think that one thing that we have to be just super focused on is being diversified in our capabilities. So if you are just the hyper-targeted and you rely on data down to the 100th degree to deliver results, I think that you could be hamstrung in the future as we go cookieless, as these privacy policies just continue to become more and more prevalent. There might come a time in 2 years where the best contextual marketer ends up winning, where it goes almost more the traditional way, where you're looking at the content and then just delivering because that's expected. That's not, no one's going to be concerned that I'm on ESPN and I saw a sports-based ad. That's just how advertising works. If I saw that ad because I was tracked to data that I wasn't sure of, maybe that's where some of the issues get into it. But I mean, some of the stuff that we're doing today could be illegal in 2 years. We have to be diversified in our offering to make sure that as the industry changes, and I don't know too many industries that change more than this, that we can shift on a dime and still produce the same level of results that we have been producing.
So I've actually got a question. We'll see where this goes, right? So obviously with, like you've said, Facebook got whacked in terms of their targeting because of what happened at Cambridge Analytica. So there's really two channels of thought. You just said right now and years ago and less so now, you could get really highly targeted with your with your ads. On the flip side, what could be coming is less targeting. So ultimately, maybe cheaper CPMs, cheaper cost per clicks, and a broader reach. Which one is actually better? So is it better to serve 1,000 highly targeted ads? Or would it be better to serve 10,000 less targeted ads for that same price?
think it depends entirely on what the goals of the campaign you're running are. If all you are trying to do is drive leads and that's what your client's going to measure the success of your campaign by, then you're going to want to go with as highly targeted as you can and max that out before you worry about that.
Would you reach
reach
the same people though? That's my question.
I'm sure there'll be some overlap to a degree.
So if we lose that hyper targeting, but we still can target people, it's ultimately going to get cheaper, right? You would imagine.
I don't know if it's necessarily going to get cheaper in that way, because as you become more focused on content, the quality of the content becomes more prevalent. If I know that I'm only targeting because I'm on a happy color application and I'm targeting contextually, that is not going to be very expensive. And you can't say, you know, I'm targeting the person, you're only just targeting the content at that level. If you are targeting content, it tends to get more expensive in the image and the video space. On the search side, I think that the company that is really trying to, I think, move the needle in this direction on the search side is DuckDuckGo. I think that there's a chance that we look back at this video in 3 years and this was like that's just a household name at this point, along with Google and Bing. They are no data, you know, that they're utilizing at all. If you're searching for a certain term, they're going to display those ads because you're taking that action, they're serving you that ad right, you know, at that time. They're not going to then use that data to serve you down the road. I think that there's up and coming, you know, mediums that are banking on data becoming borderline illegal, you know, in the space. I think that it's going to evolve. It's going to evolve. Data is always going to be a thing. It's more valuable than oil, you know, at this point. It's just, it's going to change in terms of our ability to use it. And I think that we've got to be continuously moving the bar forward, but making sure that we can still crush at this level because the industry changes.
I get data on the marketing and targeting side of things.
Yes.
How about from the analytics and the results side of things, where we all know you can get into analytics and start looking at scratching the surface. As you start to peel back the onion, you can get lost if you don't know what the goals are and what you're going in there to find. How do you approach big data and the analytics side of things? I mean, they could be one and the same or not, but if we look at a robust analytics account, diving in there and seeing what is really happening and finding the story in all that data, I think is a tremendous opportunity that it's an acquired, learned ability. How about we talk a little bit about that?
I think, like, personally, the way that I view analytics and the way that I think a lot of people should is people like think analytics is more than what it is, and it's really marketing it in general. And the way that we do it, and we've done it with many clients, is marketing at the end of the day is just math. You know, it's calculating if you want this many conversions, how many sessions does it take, how many impressions does it take, you know, and then what you can do is you can then, over time, once you've got this data, you can calculate these steps. And if you increase this, then this is going to increase. This is, you know, if you find out, for example, it takes 10,000. Say it takes 500 page views to deliver one conversion. Like, what can I do to increase that 500? You know, those 500 page views.
It comes down to it's either you're going to increase your click-through rate, and then from there you're going to increase your conversion rate optimization comes in, right? On page conversion rate. And having that, exactly like you said, the math to determine that is really what it comes down to in terms of maximizing the data opportunity, not even from the front end, but also in the analytics side of things.
I think analytics is great when you just, like we've said, you build that funnel and you work out at each like interval, like what the conversion rate looks like, and then you basically look to increase the numbers in those intervals.
I think in the era of big data and in the era of increased automation, the people that can take all that data, that can take the entire marketing ecosphere and consolidate it and make it digestible for clients to understand so that they can focus on their business, those are the people that are going to come out ahead. So I think that we've been talking about maximizing the data opportunity kind of in how we perform for the client, but I think that we have the ability to maximize our data opportunity in terms of how we present to the client. We could try and seem like the smartest people in the room and talk about stuff that the client's going to have no idea about, but then that puts us at risk. if we can take a complex strategy, showcase what we did for our clients, and then present that to them in digestible, bite-sized ways, I think that's our data opportunity, is taking something super complex, making it easy, and then just making it math, at that point, because marketing is math, but when you're in analytics, it's really hard to figure out how to do that equation.
I think the storytelling ability in the data is an opportunity that really people don't even see because it's not right in front of them, right? Uncovering what the story is in the data, that's a tremendous opportunity right there.
I could add one quick kind of point to that, just to go along with what we were talking about earlier, how important first-party data is. Well, that's undoubtedly true. I think the most important aspect of looking at data is understanding that data and drawing the analyses and insight from it, like we were talking about. All the data in the world you can purchase, basically, in some capacity, or you can get from your campaigns, but that has absolutely no value to you unless you know how to understand what that data actually means and draw actionable takeaways from it for what you need to do with it. It doesn't do anything for you to just, you have to be able to understand the correlations in the data and the explanations for how that's all working together. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at false correlations and just looking at, Wednesday, all my traffic converts way higher than every other day. I should just put all my traffic towards Wednesday. That might be great if there's a reason behind it, but if not, you don't really know what you're doing. You can test it out, and if it keeps working, that's great. But ultimately, you should be able to derive a reason from the data that you're actually looking at to be able to use it for future purposes.
Has anyone experienced a situation where a client misinterpreted data?
Yes.
It was they were just too overwhelmed,
Or they're just seeing correlations and stuff that's not quite there. So one thing I know that we've taken a look at as we're looking, down the conversion path, is we've dealt with clients that see that a lot of their conversions come with one frequency, and they're like, oh, we just want to hit people one time, spread it out as thin as we can, hit people one time, because that's where we're converting the most. I feel like, to me, that's comparable that most shark attacks happen within 50 feet of the beach. That's just where the people are.
Yep.
So the most common interaction we had with people was one frequency, or the way we were able to track that was one frequency, which is why the conversions were there. But when you're looking at the actual conversion rate, you'll realize that with frequency comes better conversion rate. So that's where you have to really understand the data that you're looking at, present it to the client in an intelligent and easy to understand way, and look to continue to improve upon that month in and month out. But it's with the amount of data that's out there right now, I can't imagine, Joe HVAC trying to understand digital marketing at this level. So presenting that to him in a clear, concise way based on our data knowledge, I think, is where we come out ahead.
Yeah, I think that tied back in perfectly to what I was saying about understanding the data and being able to have an explanation for why it's working this way.
Do you have any? You're really diving into a lot of the data from a PPC standpoint because it is that last click. Do you have any experiences that you've encountered where there was just a misconception of the data that people were seeing?
Yeah, one of the most, what I think is probably, working in PPC, one of the most common questions that we get is branded terms. So for whatever reason, clients, some clients get a little bit hurt when we're bidding on their brand name and basically come back to us and ask us, why am I bidding on my brand name when I would get that traffic anyway? Although in some instances that is true, a lot of clients forget that their competitors are bidding on their brand name. That happens, if you go to your brand, if you break it out, branded campaign, and you look at the auction insights, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see competitors showing up bidding on your terms. So every time you're not bidding on your branded terms, every time you're saying, oh, my SEO traffic will get that, you open up the opportunity for a competitor to come in and steal that traffic from you. We don't bid, we set a small portion of the budget aside for branded terms. We try about 10-20% as a rule of thumb. It can change depending on competition, but to not bid on your branded terms is just,
it's just plain defense.
And the other thing as well is what I know, from a user experience and conversion standpoint, if you're bidding on branded terms and you're offering a service, why not direct that traffic to a page that is deeper in the website that may drive conversions? If you're just driving it to a homepage, which is not conversion friendly, maybe it's not got a form, it doesn't look great, why not take that traffic and drive it deeper into the site? We've done that, we've seen great performance by doing that. So yeah, branded terms, every PPC company.
I have a good one that really hit home for all of us a little bit. It was a lawyer, and all he kept looking at was traffic to his site, so users to his site, and we kept having the conversation of we're driving tremendous amount of leads for you. Why do you keep getting concerned with the traffic on your site? We understand that, yes, the reality is the more people to your site, that it means there's going to be more conversions. But the way we're targeting the campaigns is we're going to make sure that it's not just the most traffic, it's the targeted traffic that's coming to your site, because that's the traffic that converts. And that conversation happened almost every other month.
Yeah.
So just trying to hammer home, and I think it goes back to everything we're talking about, is being able to tell the story, interpreting the data properly. That's the opportunity that I think we need to capitalize on, and other agencies need to capitalize on.
And I think, sorry.
No, sorry. I think that I believe I know what client you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I know that we were looking at like day-by-day traffic.
Yep.
I'd just like to take this time to talk to everyone out there and have a quick public service announcement. If you are a local business, I'm going to this
Camera
camera
1, camera 2.
If you're a local business and you're monitoring your website traffic and you are concerned that you have a drop from a Monday to a Tuesday, don't be concerned. That happens literally all the time. Take a look at your traffic weekly and measure it monthly. If you are hanging on every single day for that traffic, you're going to drive yourself crazy. You're going to drive the agency working with you crazy. End of announcement.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Last question, wrap this up.
Yep.
Start with you, Raj. Where do you think data goes in 2025?
All cookie based. No. I'm just kidding. But I do think, just because I know where at least Rob is going with this, so just to play devil's advocate a little bit, I think...
You can't play devil's advocate to point
I
that
can't
out.
be preemptively playing
Hasn't been
devil's
made.
advocate.
Fine, go.
Preemptive devil's advocate.
Do it.
All right, so I personally think that it's going to go more in the direction of less privacy, not more, but hopefully used in a way that's not malicious in intent or nefarious or anything like that. But I think that the benefits of being able to actually target relevant ads to people will outweigh the cons, with the caveat that that's assuming that people are responsible with their data and not putting it in a position where it can be compromised or taken advantage of, which would obviously change that discussion greatly.
I think that some of the data that we enjoy using today is going to stop becoming available. I think that as technology advances, there's going to be new data coming in that we couldn't have even thought about, and people won't, it's going to take people time to catch up. So I always think there's going to be that next data that people are utilizing that's going to exist. But I do think that there is going to be a little bit of a shift in focus back towards contextual or back towards immediate intent. So I'm looking at a site that's talking about the new Ford F-150, I'm seeing an F-150 ad. Maybe not that exact of a correlation in context, but I think that that's going to continue to be there. And I think that those up and coming companies that are based on this are going to begin to start taking some market share.
I would agree with pieces of both of you. I think the data privacy bubble is going to burst. I think people are going to realize that if it's not used for malicious intent, that it's going to benefit their lives. You're going to get the Internet of Things. You're going to get the refrigerators. You're going to go to your refrigerator and see that you bought milk a week ago, and now you're seeing an ad for milk because you know you need milk. I think those Internet of Things type of technologies that we're going to open up data, and people are going to see that data is, if not used the wrong way, is going to be beneficial to everyone's lives.
I mean, I agree with Rob. I think contextual targeting becomes the future. I think tools like Outbrain, which allows you to put your ads, like native ads in contextual placements, I think is important. And I think is definitely where it's going to go. I think retargeting as we know it today, using cookies, will be dead. And I think that that's such a shame, because I think it's arguably the most effective way to reach people. And also provide value to people. So I don't know where retargeting goes, but it's definitely not going to be how it is today.
Where does data go?
I think. Did I not mention data?
Yeah.
Oh,
Where does data go in 2025?
I think data gets pulled back. I think you know, as Rob was saying, I think the use of data as we know it today is going to be reduced, and it's going to go to a more contextual based.
I think that if anything that we've talked about kind of is where this direction is going, the emphasis on brand and the emphasis on content are going to become immensely important.
Yeah.
So if retargeting as we know it goes away, then you're not going to be able to say, hey, come back to my site, come back to my site, come back to my site, come back to my site. The first time they're there, they're going to have to get enough value out of your site to want to come back on their own. And I think that the 500-word blog, that having a site just for a site and then chucking money at it to drive people there, I think that's probably going to go away, and I think that's good for everyone. It's going to be a focus on quality, and quality will win out.
I think that's a good point. I think branding's always been important, building that brand, because you know that you don't need retargeting really if you've got
if
good
you
branding.
recognize the brand, and that's
Exactly.
so much of this is going to become important with voice search,
Yep.
right? The work that we're doing on our end in terms of just aggregating data and testing to see how brand works in voice search is really unbelievable work that we're putting in, and to everyone's point, that's really the output of that is going to be where data actually goes.
To touch on what you were talking about of all the different kinds of data that we don't even really know is going to be out there, I think that's going to be super exciting with 5G coming out and being more prevalent and more advances in technologies and computer chips being basically the size of a grain of sand. That's where we're going to be able to see types of data that we can track that we never thought of, like freaking the paint on your wall can be data, and you can put an ad on that. Or I don't think that's going to happen. But I think that's just it's an extreme example.
When you're talking about the fridge and the milk, and then getting ads for the milk, that is all reliant on you've got to have a cookie to do that. Like
No, you don't have to have a cookie for that.
No.
So how would you do that then?
Device graphs, device IDs.
Deterministic data.
Okay.
So your Alexa is going to be tied in to your fridge, and it's all going to communicate together through. Amazon, Google, and Facebook are going to own the world, and your accounts, your login to those accounts work together through. Amazon.
So then, when we talk about data, then, if that is the case, right? And Google, you were signing up for this. So let's say I have a Google fridge, Google phone, I've got a Samsung TV that's probably on Android. I'm logging into this. I'm having to agree to join in that. Then does data really go away in 2025 then? Or does it just become even more stronger?
I think it depends on what capability. If the cookie goes away, I think that can strengthen Google's hold in the market a lot in terms of display, where they have their Android ID or Google ID that they can use to track that instead of cookies, where they already have that solution almost baked out or already baked out.
I want to scratch my answer. Can I answer? Where does data go in 2025? I think then, if that is the case, I think that as you were saying, like with the devices with Google, Facebook, Amazon, the more we get into these devices, the more these companies are then going to know about us. If we're agreeing into a terms and conditions to signing up for that, that is unbelievable. That's pretty scary, actually.
It's potentially very scary, but it's potentially very cool as well.
Yeah.
So as we evolve and we have your paint-based targeting, you can also have just as we're still in predictions. I think that the barcode or there's gonna be a chip in your can of Pepsi that might talk to the Google fridge that lets Google know that this person is a Pepsi drinker, and then now we're on the display YouTube pre-roll side, and we can target Pepsi drinkers because we literally know that this device has fucking Pepsi in their fridge.
Yeah,
it's gonna be wild.
I think, like you said though, 5G is all this is dependent on 5G. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You were like, data is everything. And they're like, you know what? I think that data is going to completely go away. To now, data is going to own us all.
Well, no, I think I think it comes out. I think the cross-website stuff.
Told you to restart.
The actual platforms, like you said.
Yeah.
The power of Google's advertising within the next. You know it now anyway. It's Google search is going less. Is coming away from the keyword. It will never go 100% away from the keyword, in my opinion, and it's going to more audience-based. And the only way it's getting the audience information right now to target in market, same with Bing, is using that login to Google Chrome.
That's the huge advantage of having the whole ecosystem from the browser to the ad server to the publisher exchange to the DSP.
I mean, the value is in the keyword. If you're Google, why try and go the audience route? You're Google. You got the best keyword data of any platform on the planet. Why not just double down on that? Who gives a shit about the audience?
I think
for paid search,
Conduit After Dark.
I think
I get that for search. Like, that's the one place where it's obviously acceptable and makes perfect sense to use the exact precise data that you get as granular as possible to show the ads that are related to the exact search they made in that instance.
But it's about the user experience of the advertiser, I think. So like.
Let me
finish this.
Advertiser experience of the user.
It's about the user experience.
Sorry.
Agency.
That's a 25-26.
It's about the advertiser's experience, because at the end of the day, if Google could take all the advertising money, they would do. Like if they, right now not every single dollar is spent on Google. If they can layer in audiences into keyword, it just makes their platform better. So the more information that they can feed into their campaigns.
But it's about doing it in the right way. So I think that Roger's spot on. Audiences are going to help your display, your pre-roll, your YouTube get better. I think layering audiences onto keyword completely misses the point, and I don't think it does make it better. If someone's searching for a keyword that you identified is relevant to you and is going to lead to the page, what does it matter what demographic they fit into?
I will say maybe if they're combining the audience data with the keyword data.
Correct, that's what I'm saying.
Blend them together. So they're saying you search this keyword and you're part of this audience. That means this ad is more relevant to you than that one.
Right.
Then that's sold.
Now that's what I'm trying to say. So for example, we've got a client now that is trying to advertise a plus 55 community in a certain county within New Jersey, right? Mm-hmm. Within that county, there are maybe 30% of people that are qualified, 70% of people that aren't.
Okay.
We want, obviously, if we could spend 100% of our marketing dollars in that 30%, we would. But right now...
Is that income-based?
It is income-based, yes. So we can do income targeting now, but maybe we want to get even more targeted. Do you know what I'm saying?
Completely changed my mind. That's right. Yeah. Convince me.
Oh, okay. So yes. I can't remember what my point was now.
No, you nailed it.
That makes sense. That's how you maximize the data opportunity. And you.
All of us.